So it's hard to reach back to the winter of 2092. The old director of chapel music had retired. The chapel choir had about 13 students, plus Betty and Henry. They sung Bach and Bach, a little Handel, Bach, a little Haydn, Bach, Bach. Dean Joseph C. Williamson was searching for a new director of chapel music, one who had a wide variety of musical experience. Penna did: Broadway, off-Broadway, church, Union Seminary, Temple, New York Choral Society. Penna even had a little Bach at the Berkshire Bach Society. But she didn't apply. It was a waste of time. It was Princeton in 1992. There were very few women faculty or professionals. It's hard for you here to imagine this because you've had Shirley Tillman is president of Princeton. You've had Allison and Teresa and Matt, who's a feminist. But back then it was very different. There wasn't a woman director of chapel music anywhere, more or less at the state old Ivy League. Then, while attending the American Guild of Organists, singing the music of Calvin Hampton, which I think is pretty cool, with her friend Harry Huff, another friend, Linda Clark, came up to Penna and said, "I'm telling you, you are the one. They still haven't found who they're looking for. Apply to Princeton, apply to Princeton." Well, Penna did apply to Princeton, obviously. She came down to Princeton with a red dress on. She auditioned. She only threw one fit, Eric. And she and that red dress got the job. She was the one. She was the one for Joe Williamson. I don't know, Penna, how to describe to this Zoom gathering how you came into the position. Like a fresh wind of the spirit? Yes, but more. Like gangbusters? Yes, but more. Like creativity unbound? Yes, but, well, like it was designed by Saint Cecilia herself. Like it was meant to be Princeton and Penna Rose. And the chapel choir grew magnificently, seemingly overnight. The chapel was filled with the most glorious music, tender, powerful, prophetic too. There was Chesnikoff and Parrott, Jean Ritchie and the Sacred Heart, Bobby McFerrin, of course. You've all sung Bobby McFerrin, Jazz Vespers, Dona Nobis Pacem for the First Gulf War, Dave Brubeck's Gates of Justice, Pam Smith's Brown Baby, Brown Baby. Come now, font of every blessing. And then there was the moment when Penna called Joan Lippincott the greatest of American organists. "I'm looking for suggestions for an organist for the University Chapel." And Joan replied shyly, "Would you consider me?" They had 7 majestic years together. And then there was the moment when Kenny Grayson at the Electricians Board joined the choir, and he became the chapel choir patriarch and protector. Oh, thank you for that, Kenny. My personal job for the last 29 Septembers has been to pray for tenors, and I must say I've done rather well. I want to mention Penna's vision and attention to detail. With Penna, you get the total package. The entire use of the chapel is Penna's playground. The silk paintings that brought light and movement and color, and the kites that take our breath away each time we see them flown. The staging of processionals. We've come this far by faith, trusting in the Lord. Yellow tulips strewn around. The Advent wreath swaying each December mid-aisle. And I need to include Penna's particular brand of feminism, the oft-times glorious, righteous, angry feminism. And I need to include Penna's work ethic, hauling bags of bagels from Court Street Bakery in Brooklyn, Sunday in and Sunday out. And then there are the parties, 69 Alexander Street after Advent Vespers with Penna at the piano and the choir singing carols in 4 parts, and then in 6 parts, and then in 8 parts, and then 12 parts. Hey, Dean Morrow, what's in this punch? And the May choir dinner, often on an evening just like this one, with presents perfectly imagined and exquisitely wrapped. And then there is the friendship. Ah, the friendship. It's hard to reach back to 1992 because what you have accomplished, Penna Rose, is a total transformation of the chapel, the music, the worship, the space, even the stones. To you, Penna Rose, we have had pleasure enough. We have had singing.
Thank you, Sue Ann. It was great being there at the beginning with you. And I'm glad we've stayed friends lo these many years. Cheers.
Thank you, Sue Ann. And to Penna, yum.
Yum.
We have so many people who would love to share their gratitude with Penna. And so one of the things that Gita and Andy have put together is a video of a number of people with something to share with you, Penna. And this is just the surface number of people. All of us want to be telling you how much we love you and are grateful to you. So Andy, if you will roll it, that would be great.
John, can you see it? Okay. Okay.
Hi, Penna.
Aloha, Penna.
It's your little ducky, Victoria, over here. I just want to say thank you for being an incredible human being.
Thank you for directing the chapel choir for the last 29 years.
In some ways, you know how much we're going to miss you. And in other ways, you don't know. And so I just smile, knowing myself how much you will be missed, Penna.
Penna, I just wanted to say thank you so much for welcoming me into chapel, especially during this unprecedented and unique time. I really have enjoyed my first year as a choir member, and I'm very grateful to have had the opportunity to have you as the director of chapel.
I learned so much from you, and you really were the first person to welcome me to campus and to make me feel like this was a home, and you really made the chapel choir feel like a home. And whenever we came into the crypt, it was really just a space where we all could be ourselves and be friends and make wonderful music together.
I actually have this canvas on my wall here in my home that I see every day, and it's a picture I took the first week of my freshman year before I'd even joined the choir. And I even then just had this sense of sort of sacred solemnity in that place, and because of you and because of the choir, it became the most important place to me on that campus, and it still is.
I thank you for all of the ways that you welcomed me and loved and encouraged and supported me during the years. I am seated in this window because every time I entered this space and walked down these stairs, I was greeted with music. You've taught me to lean into the music and dance. I love you, Penna.
We've been through a lot over the last 16 years. That's over half of your tenure at the chapel. Not surprisingly, I've learned a lot from you. I've learned that when it's time for the performance, it's time to just let go and do it. Any chance to stop and fix has been utilized, and it's time to just have fun, be in the moment, and send the music out into the stone walls.
You always like to say that we left our voices in the stones of the places we sang, and I'd like to believe that we also left our voices in the hearts and minds of those people who came to find some kind of comfort or inner peace, or perhaps to connect with whatever spiritual deity they believed in. And they found it in the music that we helped bring to life under your leadership.
Penna, it's hard to overstate how formative chapel choir was for my college experience. I think it's not an exaggeration to say that chapel choir is the reason I'm still a Christian, and to a large extent, it's the reason I'm still making music as well. Every Advent, every Lent, I go back and listen to those songs we sang, and I am so grateful to have such glorious music in my life.
Chapel choir was a top-notch community. It was a real escape from the stresses of my Princeton career, and I was amongst truly the most thoughtful, caring, and supportive group of students that I think exists at Princeton. You cultivated a remarkable culture, not only of quality music making, but of quality people. I am Jewish, but in chapel, I truly found my spiritual home with you in the choir, a home that transcended religion.
We're so grateful that we were able to be in the chapel choir under your direction during that time. And we were able to meet each other and start dating as a result of chapel choir. So thank you for that, and also thank you for founding in us an appreciation and value for sacred choral music and singing together with friends.
One of the most amazing things you have done with creating the community is make lifelong friendships with so many people. I know this is true for me, for so many friends, including this one. And I'm sure it's true of so many people as well. It's just the gift that keeps on giving.
The chapel and the chapel choir and performing with all of you has been my refuge and the route that keeps me motivated and happy and makes Princeton a place of joy. I am beyond grateful to have gotten to know you and to have had the privilege to perform with you and to learn from you.
I just can't even begin to thank you. So thank you for creating this beautiful family and this beautiful community of people and letting me be my full, very goofy self in every rehearsal and prank you all the time and fly the kites and just get to spend those years in just such a wonderful community of singers. It was such a gift.
And really, it allowed me to appreciate choral music to this day, which had not been possible if it had not been for you. So thank you so much. It really changed my life.
Wishing you all the best and many, many blessings as you step into this new and exciting chapter in your life. I'm sure it's going to be filled with all sorts of adventures and, knowing you, lots and lots of beautiful music.
It's been a real pleasure to get to know you through ORL the past few years. Your laughter, your joyful spirit will be sorely missed during our meetings.
Words just can't describe how much fun you brought to the office, how much fun you brought to the kids who sang for you. And I wish you nothing but a truly fulfilling retirement. Enjoy it. You deserve it.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much, Penna.
Thank you, Penna.
Many happy years ahead.
Godspeed to you.
All the best from here forward.
Thank you, and hopefully one day we'll meet under the arches of the chapel. Lots of ducky love.
That's nice.
So Penna, those are just some of the many, many people who want to share with you from the depths of their hearts how much you have meant to them and given them and how much we all love you. On behalf of everyone who has spoken out loud or in their hearts, let's have another toast to Penna.
Another toast.
Penna.
Yay, thank you. I know you're not supposed to drink to yourself, but I'm just going to.
You must. You must. Right now. It's my turn to say a few things about Penna. Well, what to say about our Penna? How to capture the essence of a person who has such an impact on an institution and all its members who've crossed her path. I think there's no way to do Penna justice, but I'm going to have fun just trying. Penna, your influence is everywhere. I'd hoped we could be in person for this party and to hold it in the chapel where we could just look around us and see your fingerprints all over the place in ways large and small. Our eyes would quickly note the beautiful banners hanging from the great arched ceiling. They were designed by our friend Juanita Yoder, but they sprang from your imagination, from your desire to give visitors something to help draw their sights upwards and to really take in the majesty of the space, to take in the majesty of holiness of God. All great cathedrals are meant to help us mere mortals keep our spirits soaring heavenwards, and you've helped the hundreds of thousands of people who've been to the chapel to do that. And as you've noted to me, Penna, when the congregation draws in a breath together to speak or to sing, those banners move. The Holy Spirit, described in parts of the biblical literature as breath, aspiration, this is summoned into that sanctuary when we act and breathe as one. You've been telling choir members for years that their voices are absorbed forever into the great stones of the chapel's architecture. That's not something that visitors to the building can see, but I know it is something they deeply feel. The chapel isn't just a magnificent space, a holy space. It's a human and loved space, still occupied by the voices and souls of those who poured their hearts out in it, thanks to you. Our grand convocations look and sound so different, thanks to you, Penna. From African drumming and choral music, to a psalm portion by Leonard Bernstein sung in Hebrew, to the religious and gender inclusivity you insist upon in the texts, the essential shape and tone of ceremony at Princeton has been profoundly influenced by you. You had a critical role in the contours of our regular liturgies, from our monthly Holy Communion to a fully re-envisioned Maundy Thursday, with the choir singing down like angels upon the congregation gathered in Chancellor Green. During the university's hardest moments, like the 9/11 anniversaries, your artistic and pastoral insights have given these gatherings the meaning that has gotten people through. I'm most grateful to you for the tone you consistently set in the chapel choir. You are so intentional about that. It doesn't just happen. A longtime member of the chapel congregation just wrote to me about your coming to Princeton. John said, "Seems like yesterday." The choir suddenly began to smile as it sang. A few years ago, a choir member had a sore throat one Sunday and sat in the congregation rather than the chancel. As he left the service, he told me he'd never realized how very warm the whole service was from the front. The warmth and care broadcast forward into the congregation by clergy and choir. We work hard to do that. It's the care and attention you bestow on choir members that, I know, is the source of that ensemble's wonderful spirit and heart presence in leading worship for people. If you didn't make people feel cared for in the choir, and if you didn't cultivate an ethic of support and of being seen by one another within that body, the choir couldn't project an ethic of support and care into the congregation. In this way, the choir really inhabits the essence of the gospel, which may not be what individual members signed up to do, but you make it happen. And every person blessed to serve as a chapel dean has been your grateful partner in manifesting just a smidgen of the divine love to which we hope all our work is testifying. I've been talking about all that you've done, Penna, but it's all an outgrowth of who you are. Your musical gifts are beyond all describing. You are sassy, strong, cool, sensitive, fun, impatient, patient, compassionate, wise, justice seeking. You don't suffer fools except the ones you love. We're just so grateful to be in that number. I think it's really not possible for those who've sung for you over the last 3 decades to understand fully just how deeply you've cared for each of them, how you've had them in your heart and always will. That's what has made the chapel choir such an oasis in a hyper-competitive institutional culture. That's what has made choir members throughout the years choose to share their loveliest highs and their hardest challenges with you, and to tell you who they really are. Thank you most of all, Penna, for being such a true friend to them. And thanks for being my friend too, for these past 33 years. Your legacy is all over Princeton, Penna, and especially, of course, in the chapel choir. Just as you've told your singers that they leave their voices in the chapel stones, you have left your voice embedded in who each of us is. We are each your legacy too. We love you, Penna, and we thank you. A toast to
Thank
Penna
you.
Rose.
Thank you. To you all. To you all. Thank you so much. Beautiful.
So Penna, it is my great joy right now to do as we would if we were in person, to present you with a gift. And I've had such fun thinking about this. And if we were in person, I could whisk off, a curtain or something like that and do the big reveal. That's a little hard on Zoom. What we are gifting you with is a kite made especially for you.
My very own kite.
By Juanita Yoder. And Juanita is here and can, if she doesn't have the kite literally with her on person, show you pictures and show us much more about it. So over to you, Juanita.
Hi, Penna.
I'm so excited.
I'd like to present you with, this is your very own kite, hand painted with the same dyes as the work in the chapel, hand built and hand painted. And I cherish our conversation so incredibly much. And I have to tell the dream that I saw you in the chapel, standing as tall as the triforium, comfortably filling the space. I cherish that dream. It captures what I'm hearing here. And this kite, just like the other ones, just like the other kites, when you fly it, and when you fly it outside in New York, and you scoop up blessings, they flow out all over. And it's red, the embers of warmth for the hearth at home, and the passion going forward. And may you be blessed 100-fold going forward.
Oh, thank you.
I love you, Penna. Congratulations.
Juanita. You all can see why I chose Juanita to be the artist for the chapel. She gets it. She gets it. Oh, thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Juanita and Allison and everybody. My very own kite. I can tell you.
We love the idea of you going and flying a kite up there
I'm going
in Canaan
to.
or wherever
I'm
you're
going
to be. It's going to be great. Well, as the, advertisement people on late night TV when I was a kid used to say, but wait, there's more. As you know, Penna, we have been working for a year in conversation with the composer and arranger Sean Kirchner on composing for us new sung communion elements for our service, particularly in an early American style or sacred harp style, which is just something you love so much. We're continuing with that commission, of course, but want you to know that that commission is going to be in your honor.
Oh,
and that when we sing it, the note in our bulletin, and when anybody else sings it, the note they will have also will be in better words than I'm going to blurt out now, but in grateful honor of 29 years of fabulous music making by Penna Rose at the Princeton University Chapel.
Thank you so much. Wow.
We have Sean Kirchner here with us today.
Really?
And so, Andy, I am wondering if you could somehow spotlight Sean for us, who has some thanks to share with you.
Congratulations, Penna. It's really fun to jump in and see all the love flow. For those of you who don't know, I worked with Penna many, many moons ago when I was in volunteer service in Massachusetts, and a few of my fellow volunteers and I joined the Berkshire Bach Society that she was conducting. And I remembered her all those years, and it's such a great time, but it's wonderful to hear the tribute video and all the, I know I would have kept enjoying it for the next 30 years if I hadn't moved away or whatever. But anyway, one of my favorite things is to see someone be honored, and it's just wonderful to, Penna, for you to be honored. And I am thrilled to write this work and write these communion pieces in your honor. I think we're kindred spirits in terms of musical style. And so the ideas they're working. In fact, even this morning in bed, I had an idea for a Kyrie. Unfortunately, I didn't write it down and I forgot it. But Toni Morrison, I heard her on an interview once where she said, "Don't worry if you forget a line. You'll hear a better one that your character will say." So, but anyway, it's great to get a sense of the beautiful warmth of all you beautiful singers from the years, and that will become a part of the piece. So I'm just glad I had these moments to absorb that, because when you think holographically, like composer types do, everything becomes a part of it. So just the vibrations I feel in this beautiful gathering of souls somehow will become a part of the work as well.
That's great. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Sean, we are so honored to be working with you. Thank you, friend. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And thank you for joining us today.
And I'm seeing just up above me, Katie Bloom. And Katie Bloom is the first one who brought to me your the two pieces that we ended up doing. Katie, remind me what they were.
Unclouded Day and Angel Band.
Yes, Unclouded Day and Angel Band. She said, you must do these pieces. These are wonderful. So thank you, Katie, for introducing us.
Penna, we've all been talking about you and about you and about you. It's now your turn to actually speak and have the microphone.
Okay.
It's all yours.
Excuse me, I'm going to have a little toast beforehand because this is my hardest thing for me to do. So I'll just have a little toast first. Thank you. But first of all, John, could you come over here, please? Before I do this, I want to introduce you all to my husband, John Alicia, who some of you know from trips, but not all of you do. This is John. This is the man who has managed to put up with me for these many years. And so I wanted him, thank you, Jim. I wanted you all to meet him.
Hi, guys.
Thank you. So this is, I have not ever understood why people congratulate people on retiring. But then I realized that not everybody has been as lucky as I have been, which is that I loved going to work every day, every single day. Didn't matter how far I had to drive, didn't matter anything. I just loved going to work. And so I am above all grateful for this fabulous job in this extraordinary place. And I'm especially grateful to Dr. Joseph Williamson for believing I could do the job and taking a chance on me. I was the first woman who was going to be hired in this position. And, you know, I'm from a farm in the Midwest, and Princeton University was pretty impressive in my mind. His charge, Joe's charge to me, was to make the University Chapel the St. John the Divine of New Jersey. No small task. He wanted a wide variety of music theater, anything that would bring people into the chapel to hear the newly refurbished organ. So we started doing silent movies with organ accompaniment. Thank you, David Messinio and Michael Britt, who I saw earlier. You all know Michael Britt. He plays for our fabulous silent movies. But there was, so we did that, and organ concerts, choral concerts with organ and orchestra. But there was still the issue of the organist. Graduate students had been the organist under my predecessor, but Joe and I thought it was time to have a professional organist who would elevate the position. We met with Joan Lippincott, head of the organ department at Westminster, as Sue Ann has said. And a couple of weeks later, she came into my office and she said, would you consider me for the position? And I said, Joan, don't tease me. This is not, if you don't mean it, don't say it. But she was serious. She wanted to have the job. The presence of Joan changed the music that the chapel choir could do, because she could play anything that was requested, teaching both the choir and me what it meant to have a colleague. After Joan came David Messinio, then Eric Plutz, and the position of university organist is now one that is held in high regard. I'm also eternally grateful to Princeton University for supporting chapel music and giving us all the opportunity to work with professional instrumentalists, sing in Carnegie Hall, go on international tours, and sing with people like Dave Brubeck. I have had the privilege to dream big and have rarely been told, no, that is a step too far. Except when Hans Rinderknecht wanted to rappel from the balcony into the nave during one of the times that we were haunting the chapel before the silent movie. Henry Horn said that risk management would frown on that, so we probably should not allow that to happen. One night I was sitting in the chapel by myself, and it was dark and there was no light coming in the windows, and there was a great deal of dark gray stone. And I said to Joe, we need to do something in here. We need color, we need movement, we need something to make this place alive. And he said, go for it, find an artist. So I called St. John the Divine and asked who they had. And they recommended Juanita Yoder, who lives near Princeton. She came, saw the space, and loved it. She proposed making 25-foot hangings, which would hang near the front. That was her first commission, and it coincided with the 250th anniversary of the university. She did another set that hung on the scaffolding in the chapel, in the chancel in the front. When they were taking out the stained glass to be re-leaded, they had this awful, awful, awful thing up there. So we put Juanita's paintings over the top of it. These were followed by the processional kites and by what is called infusion, the banners that hang there now. Her most recent piece, called Fountain, will be installed next Easter, as the pandemic interrupted the hanging of it in 2019. It is a beautiful, beautiful piece, and it will hang where the Advent wreath hangs at Advent. I had come from working in theater and small churches. No one had much money to support music programs, so Princeton was a new experience for me. After my first year, when I spent very little, Joe said, if you don't spend it, they'll take it back. Well, after that, the Advent concerts and the Milbank concert had orchestras, guest soloists, flowers. In the case of the Milbank, lots of yellow tulips, just because I loved yellow tulips and it was spring and right. We have had the chance to perform the gamut of fantastic works for chorus and orchestra. Bach, Bernstein, Brahms, Whitburn, Szymanowski, Rachmaninoff, Duke Ellington, Poulenc, Hildegard, and Karl Orff's Carmina Burana. Not your usual chapel fare, but again, nobody said no. This is not a job we do alone. And so I want to thank, first of all, the choir, because without a choir, a conductor is just a person waving in the wind up there. You need to have a choir. These were mostly undergraduates. who got up early on Sunday morning, after Sunday morning, after Sunday morning. Some of them for all 4 years. Eric, who helped us sound better at 11 than we did at 10. Liz Powers, the chapel administrator who let me bounce wacky ideas off her and never made me feel silly. Kenny and everyone in the electric shop who did more than anyone will ever know in support of chapel music. Somebody just wrote, what about the Palm Sunday donkey? Right, we haven't had that yet. Gotta have that. The sextons, Lisa and Edgar, who set up tea for every rehearsal and breakfast for every service. Betty and Henry, who my first week met me in the crypt and helped me drag music out from under the risers. Then they loaned me their daughter for a year, and she cataloged and organized all of the music library on the computer. That was a first. When I came, I had an electric typewriter. There were no computers. It's that far away. The members of the ORL staff who have always been supportive and helpful, especially Joanne and Patricia and the fabulous Andy. Thank you, Andy. And thank you, Geeta, also for this amazing, I don't even know what to call it, this amazing event today. And we also, sadly, remember our very good friend, Sohaib Sultan, the Muslim chaplain who passed away this year, too soon. Too soon. Teresa Thames has brought great joy to the ORL. Dean Allison Boson, who came at a difficult time and has continued to lead the ORL on a right path, and given those of us who work in the ORL the freedom to follow and implement our dreams and visions. I leave you with 2 thoughts. Now write them down. They are very important. These are your life lessons, people. Never underestimate the power of chance, luck, and a good friend in your life. Remember those. Very important. Number 2, you all know this, we could say it together. Life is not the rehearsal for the performance, it's the gig itself. So be serious about what you do. Do what you do with commitment and passion, giving your whole self to the task, and be grateful for the opportunities. Now here comes the hard part. When you are done, walk away with empty hands, leaving it to those who come next to carry it forward. Thank you, everybody. More than I can say. Thank you so much. Be well, do good work, and keep in touch. Thank you.
To Penna Rose.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Man, well done.
Penna, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Absolutely.
So when we are in person, the conclusion of a farewell party at Princeton University involves a student ensemble singing. And if we could only be in person, you know, there would be a lot of singing at this gathering. So we are going to conclude with a recording of you, Penna, conducting us. And this is from a year ago at Reunions. It's The Road Home.
Oh.
So Andy and Geeta, if you would roll that, please.
Tell me where
I think the most beautiful part of this whole party for you, for me, was just watching you watch that. Really meant a lot to me. Everybody, thank you so much for being a part of this. There is a virtual choir reunion this coming Friday at 5 p.m. The link is on the alumni office website. That's our chance to get back together with Penna and have a good gab and maybe sing a little too and just enjoy one another's company. Thank you so much, everybody, for being a part of this. And thanks most of all to the divine Penna Rose.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Hard to say goodbye.
Nah.